I can't believe we're doing a data science module in class. What even is data science?
Data and science? I don't know.
I've heard there's like languages in it. How does that even work?
Yeah, I heard there's like cells. I thought that was only in biology. Wow, we were quite clueless back then.
I know. Crazy how much we know today.
Should we tell them what data science really is?
Let's get into it.
All right, so what is data science?
So, data science is an interdisciplinary field about systems and scientific processes which work to help us extract knowledge from data sets.
It unifies statistics and data analysis to produce cohesive representations of data. Now you might ask, how does this connect to rhetoric in any way?
Why don't we start by explaining what we did before starting the modules?
Okay. So in rhetoric, we've been reading Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. Haidt explores the foundation of our moral systems and interprets the U.S. political divide through the lens of morality.
Haidt created the moral foundations theory to identify the 6 points of contention in our moral systems: care, harm, fairness, cheating, loyalty, betrayal, authority, subversion, sanctity, degradation, and liberty, oppression foundations. MFT is used to understand how moral systems vary across groups, cultures, and religions.
Haidt focused particularly on applying moral foundations theory to the U.S. Democrat and Republican parties in order to see how they truly distinguish themselves in their rhetoric.
He found that liberals rely heaviest on the care, harm, and fairness cheating foundations. Essentially, they emphasize empathy, kindness, and acceptance.
On the other hand, Haidt posits that conservatives and Republicans rely equally on all 6 foundations, hence explaining their political leverage.
Curious as to whether this held true, we decided to test the theory on Obama's infamous address to the nation on Syria.
We collected a series of foundation words from the speech and organized them into their respective categories.
We found that majority of the words we collected fell into the care, harm, and authority subversion foundations.
There were far fewer words to categorize into the other 4 foundations.
Now that we had finished collecting this data, we were still unsure of how it would connect to data science.
Why don't we jump into what we did?
3 students from the data science program, also known as the BIDS program, came to speak to us about the data science program at Berkeley and how we could intersect data science with what we've been studying in our rhetoric class.
They introduced us to what data science is and the computer science platform we'd be working with called the Jupyter Notebook.
We were then taught the different features of code, such as how to run a cell, command it to perform a certain action, and identifying correct errors.
The way in which we first incorporated political speeches in the module was by using the data frame to collect all of Hillary Clinton's speeches.
We then learned how to filter the speeches to narrow down our search and eliminate aspects we consider unnecessary. For example, we used code to get rid of all the stop words.
Stop words are usually common function words like the, a, or and.
After learning how to filter through vocabulary used in the speeches, we coded our personal dictionary into Python.
We made a list of the words found in Obama's Syria speech, corresponding to each foundation, and then we ran our cell to write our dictionary into a file.
We used code to collect all of the speeches from Republican and Democratic candidates in the 2016 presidential election.
Through a database called WordNet, we created a Moral Foundations dictionary.
We then used this dictionary to calculate what percentage of the words from the speeches correspond to each moral foundation.
Using this dictionary, we created tables and graphs to illustrate this data in a way that we could interpret.
Now here's where our dictionary plays in.
We changed the code to insert the file with our dictionary into the module. Consequently, all of our data and graphs were now based on the work that we had done in the dictionary that we had created.
Why don't we show them some of our graphs and compare them?
These 2 graphs represent the percentages of Democratic and Republican speeches that rely on moral foundation words.
On the left is the data that we found using our dictionary, and on the right is the data we found using the WordNet dictionary. As you can see, the overall trend in use of moral foundation words is quite similar with both dictionaries. In addition, the trend is similar for Republicans and Democrats. They generally both rely heaviest on authority and care words. A big difference in these dictionaries is that ours found a lack of sanctity words, whereas sanctity words were prominent with the WordNet dictionary for both Republicans and Democrats.
These next graphs plot the difference in average foundation word usage of Democrats and Republicans. We can see here a significant difference in the calculations of the respective dictionaries. Whereas our dictionary indicated that Democrats used foundation words more, WordNet's found that Republicans did.
Though some aspects of these graphs might support moral foundations theory, in general, they seem not to. A first indication is how similar the trend is between Democrats and Republicans, which Haidt did not predict at all.
However, one aspect which supports Haidt and is evident with both dictionaries is the prevalence of care words amongst Democrats.
Nonetheless, fairness words are some of the least found words in Democratic speeches.
A next important aspect to note is that Republicans do not rely equally on all foundations.
True.
On the last day of BIDS week, we explored deceitful data and the limitations of using code to explore data.
Many graphs may be hard to interpret through usage of color, wordings, and graph shape.
We coded the graphs we created from Module 2 to add different colors and to use different graphing styles.
As you can see, scatter graphs and stocked plots are a lot more difficult to interpret than a bar graph.
We also tested how the usage of color can change the way data is portrayed to people.
For example, the Republican Party is associated with the color red, and the Democratic Party is associated with the color blue. When using the blue for representing Republicans and red for Democrats in a graph, it is very confusing for an audience to interpret because they are so used to seeing it the other way around. Overall, we loved the BIDS presentation.
The presenter was very clear, organized, and easy to follow along with.
If we ever needed guidance or had a specific question about the coding, the BIDS students were both very attentive and helpful.
We're both really interested in taking Data 8, and we can't wait to explore other data science courses at Berkeley.
We now have a better understanding of data science and its use with rhetoric and research.
I hope you enjoyed this presentation and have a better understanding of data science.
Thanks for watching.